Hi, it's KCCK's Culture Crawl. I'm Dennis Green, and my guest today, remotely via Zoom, for reasons that will become obvious in just a second. For those who are listening on the audio, on the video, you have already figured out that I have two guests: Tim Hankewich from Orchestra Iowa and Ann Hampton Calloway, live from Tucson.
Hello.
Hello.
Welcome
Ann
to you both.
Hampton Calloway. Did you know those are the original lyrics of that Irving Berlin classic? Thank you.
No.
I need to make up a song for you, Tim.
Oh, please do. Well, you do that as part of your show, don't you? You do some
I'm
improvising, so.
going to be making up a Christmas song with the help of our
Yeah.
audience. So three times. So that's going to be very special. Yeah.
You've got some time to figure out what rhymes with Hankewich, okay?
I need a little more time.
I think so.
Make a witch? No, yeah, I don't know if you were. Yeah, I'll think about that.
Okay, very good.
At
And of
Halloween,
course,
you should always thank a witch, and then at Christmas, thank Tim Hankewich.
There you go. See, you're a
I like it.
genius.
And of course, is a special guest with Orchestra Iowa for Holiday Spectacular coming up this weekend. Ann, you've not been in Cedar Rapids for a while. I had the pleasure of seeing you and talking with you when you were in Des Moines pre-pandemic, when you were with Ramsey Lewis.
Oh yes. Oh,
And
we lost
uh,
him this year. It's a heartbreak.
so
But yes, it was an amazing experience.
before we talk Christmas show, just talk for just a minute about Ramsey. As you grew up in Chicago, he was a titan of a presence there. I'm sure all
Yeah,
the time you were growing up and when you were first getting into music. What was that like?
well, my dad was a huge jazz fan, and that's why I became a pop jazz singer. And Ramsey Lewis was on our turntable all the time. And then, when I finally met him and we started working together and doing concerts around the country, and I could spend time with him on the phone and having meals together, I just not only was he an exceptional, brilliant pianist, but he was also a beautiful, elegant man. And his relationship with his wife Jan was such a thing of beauty. I loved the mischievous smile when he was, playing a solo and then listening to his great trio mates. The sense of fun and just a whimsical side of him. But boy, he was a badass at the keys. What he played, and we would do improvs in our shows, like blues improvs, and the whole audience would be going crazy. We just kept building the climax, and it was a thrill every time. And I miss him very much. In
Tim,
fact,
you have
I'm sorry, I just wrote a song called Blue Flame. That's how I think of him, that cool blue flame that burns the hottest.
Tim, you've been quoted multiple times as saying Ann is one of your favorite vocalists.
Yeah.
When did
Yeah.
when was the first time you worked together?
I don't think she would remember me, but I remember first hearing her and working with her in Kansas City in my previous job. And she came in and just blew the doors off of everybody. And she was so kind to me because I was such a green conductor back then.
How long ago was that, Tim?
Oh, you don't want to know, Ann.
You're dating yourself, you should date other people. Yeah. I see your face today for the first time in a million years, and I recognize you as someone I've worked with, but I don't remember that concert. I'm so sorry to say. It was really a long time ago.
You came to Kansas City twice, and I remember your first time was when you and I were working, and then you came back to Kansas City to do a gala performance. And immediately when I came here, I knew that you were an artist that I really, really wanted. And you came at a time that was really difficult for Cedar Rapids. It was in the aftermath of a huge flood here in 2009, I think was the last time you were here.
Oh, yes.
And the city was absolutely destroyed and smashed. The orchestra was facing an existential crisis. We just weren't at our best for obvious reasons. And I remember having such a great time with you and then saying, gee, when this city is finally rebuilt and this orchestra is rebuilt, I got to have you back. And so having you back for Christmas is kind of, well, a promise I made to myself and I think a gift to the community because you are awesome.
Well, back at you. I'm really excited, and I think we have a fabulous program. I think it's going to sort of touch on all of the beautiful parts of Christmas music that we all love and share. So I'm
For sure. I'd like to
working
call
hard
it
to get all my songs in top form.
Yeah. I like to call it high octane.
Yes, exactly.
Tim, you famously start planning the holiday spectacular in the summer, usually on the hottest week of the year is when you start working. So when the orchestra was exploring and working to get Ann here, tell me your thought process on what you wanted the show to look like.
Well, step one was to actually compare notes. What did she have already? Because I know she's worked with other symphony orchestras for holiday programs. And I also know that she performs with anything from orchestra to trio to jazz ensemble. And we were just sort of throwing ideas back and forth. My Christmas project this year is there's this one big band number that she does with Let It Snow that I needed to translate from big band to symphony orchestra. So that was because people around here know that every summer I do a Christmas arrangement or two, and that was it.
Thank you for doing that, Tim. I can't wait to hear it. It's very exciting.
It's going to be great.
Oh, good.
Actually, one of my questions was going to be, was there ever a time, Tim, you as an arranger and Ann as you as a arranger or a composer, where you had to work particularly, the work, it just was really, really difficult to come in the creative process? And what was it like when, the dam finally broke? What made it do that? Was this that time for you, Tim?
Nothing inspires creativity like a deadline.
That's what Stephen Sondheim would say. He said his favorite time to write a song was the night before the show opened.
Yeah.
Like Sun in the Clouds, but yes.
What I love about this show, though, it really shows off Ann's personality, because obviously we're covering a lot of the great famous favorites that so many people are going to love and maybe even want to sing along with. But it's also features a lot of songs that Ann wrote, and they are absolutely gorgeous. And I just wanted to make sure this program captured her personality.
I really appreciate that, Tim. Thank you. And one of the songs is a song that Barbra Streisand recorded on her last record called Christmas Memories, and the song is Christmas Lullaby. And every time I sing it, I recorded it with Peter Nero and the Philly Pops. It's a beautiful response, and many people might not know it, or might they go, "Oh, I love that song." I mean, for me, Barbra Streisand's first Christmas album, which we are doing a number from, was a quintessential Calloway family favorite thing to listen to at the holidays. But I really appreciate, Tim, that you are giving me also the chance to sing God Bless My Family, which through the years people really respond to. People cry and they come back to the, after the show when I'm signing CDs and just say how much they related to the lyrics. And, it's about the bittersweet feelings that we have when we miss the people we love and are no longer with us.
But Ann, you were one hell of a tunesmith, though. Those are both gorgeous songs.
Oh, thank you. Where have you been all my life? So, Tim, as we're sharing all these thoughts, I just want to make sure I understand. Are you a gin man or a vodka man when you're martini?
I swing both ways because my favorite martini it's a Vesper martini, which is both gin and vodka. So,
wow, have you ever had one of those?
Oh, I make great ones. Yes.
Oh, I'm talking about our host. Yeah, that sounds good.
I am mainly a vodka martini man.
Yeah.
So, although anything that Tim makes, all the drinks that Tim has made have all been top drawers. So,
so if I call you during a concert, Stirred Not Shaken, is that an appropriate nickname?
Absolutely.
And you mentioned a few of the things that you are including in this show and that you like to include when you put together a holiday show. Tim and I talk about this every year. Putting together a holiday themed show is, I think, just about the most challenging thing to program, because you want to play people's favorites and those things that we all grew up with and that stir those emotions, but you also want to bring people something new and surprise them a little bit. Talk about that balance.
I think that's a very important balance in any successful, exciting show, at the holidays for sure. And one of the things that is so exceptionally powerful about a Christmas concert, a holiday concert, is that This is the one music that almost everybody knows. Everyone knows all the words to many of the songs we're performing. And it's just not only brings up the Christmas spirit, but it brings up so many deep memories from your childhood and, growing up, starting a family, all the different emotions that the holidays bring to us. And it unites us. And so it's lovely to have something fun and zippy and then something really beautiful. I love the fact that we're doing some of my favorite sacred songs and we're doing some of the most beloved fun holiday pieces. And I get to show off my soprano voice as a classically trained singer, and I get to scat sing like Ella in some of the pieces, and I get to sit at the piano and do a song when I was starring in Swing on Broadway that I rewrote about the holidays. And there's just so many different things that I think the audience will feel we've touched upon that will resonate on many different levels and just make it for a very emotionally fulfilling evening.
Speaking of the piano, we hit this really quick at the top of the interview, but one of the things that you do is you sit down at the piano and compose on the spot.
That's right. When I was singing with the ISO Indiana Symphony Orchestra, I hosted their Yuletide season 2 times, and I did 28 concerts and 28 improvs for each season. And then with our other orchestras that Jack Everly, I've done probably a few thousand Christmas improvs in my career, and everyone is different. And I love how the audience gets so tickled by having their words and phrases sung. And then I know you think that I'm going to be doing it alone, but hopefully the trio will sort of follow me along. And then the orchestra will play the very last chord, and I will tell them what it is once I figure it out. But I love audience participation. People will be singing along in the show. There's some nice moments for that. And this is a moment where I'm going to ask them to sing along too. I'll try to create a hook that will get everybody going. So it's delightful.
Is there a memory of one of those improvs that stands out more than another?
Yes, I did.
Either spectacularly good or spectacularly bad.
I've never really, I have to say, I've achieved a certain level of trust in myself. I don't think I've ever crashed on one of these songs. But one of my favorite moments was the very last Yuletide I performed. My entire cast was sort of mid-costume. They all came out in their robes and they started joining me on the improv. And it was just fantastic. You just never know. Tim, you might want to sing along. So get ready with your microphone.
Oh, yeah. Well, careful for what you wish for. Hey, Dennis, if I can step in here. One of the biggest challenges I find of putting in a program like this, and I'm going to give you a much more clinical answer, because obviously people have different traditions and different ideas of what Christmas music should be. So actually finding that fine balance between styles and pieces is obviously a challenge. My biggest challenge for a holiday program is something we call show flow. That if we're going to have an orchestra on stage, a guest artist in Ann, a children's choir, an organ, and all this sort of stuff, is to organize it in a manner that flows seamlessly so the audience doesn't notice that you go from one to the next. Because if you have a poor show flow, the whole show kind of like stops and you're just waiting for the next element and the next element. Getting it to actually like pick up and flow naturally and people don't even notice, to me, is the most important and difficult part of putting a holiday program together.
Well, I have to say, Tim, I'm very impressed how you did it. It looks, it's a beautiful show, and
I think so too.
It is sort of a miraculous feat.
It's holiday spectacular, always the top of the Christmas tree in Eastern Iowa with Orchestra Iowa, and never more so than this year with special guest vocalist Ann Hampton Calloway. Before we go, Ann, so one question I've always wanted to ask you, because you, through your whole career, swing, your Broadway career, jazz composer, your songs have been performed by so many people, but many people will still remember you as the person who sings the theme song from the sitcom The Nanny, which you still bring forward in concert sometimes. Here's my question. The Rembrandts, who sang the theme from Friends, famously hate that song because it got so overexposed in reruns. So my question for you is, which would you rather have? The enjoyment of still singing the song or all the residuals?
Dennis, I love you.
Could be. You know, I happen to love my theme song. In fact, Don Lemon on CNN said it was the most influential or the most important theme song in TV history, which I thought, I was just like, what does that really mean? But I am so grateful, I like to say in my shows, thanks to Fran Drescher, I have written what my accountant still calls my finest work to date. And so, yes, the residuals help me to be a happy diva, and so does singing the song. So I don't like to choose, but I will take the residuals.
And what what other projects
Sorry, go on.
And what other projects are in the hopper for you? What can we expect new coming up?
Well, I have a brand new CD called Fever, a Peggy Lee celebration coming out right before Valentine's Day. It's a gorgeous pop jazz record celebrating one of America's most magnificent singers, and John Pizzarelli, this guitarist and singer, is my guest artist. And I'm also going to be releasing in the coming year a CD of all Ann Hampton Calloway originals with some very famous and wonderful fellow composers and people joining me in duet, like my sister Liz Calloway, multi-Grammy winning Kurt Elling, 9-time Grammy nominee Tierney Sutton, and Melissa Manchester and I are finishing up the last song. So it's a very exciting project, and can't wait to go on the jazz cruise in January and be in the midst of some of the finest talent all over the world, and a very nice busy schedule with many kinds of concerts. So no rest for the diva.
We're so excited to have you back in the Cedar Rapids area for Holiday Spectacular with Orchestra Iowa. Ann Hampton Calloway, thanks for being with me today. Tim, thank you as well. Tickets still available for the concert, although I'm sure the best seats are going fast. 4 shows, Tim.
3 shows.
It's 3 shows, Friday night, Saturday night, and Sunday afternoon matinee.
And tickets at artsiowa.com as usual, or more information at the Orchestra Iowa website, which Tim Hankewich is.
orchestraiowa.org. How about that?
See you all this weekend. We're also excited for this great holiday spectacular celebration. Thanks to you both for being with me today.
Thank you for having us.
Pleasure, Dennis. Thank you.
You can hear The Culture Crawl live on the radio many weekdays at 10:30, or download the podcast, watch or listen on your own schedule at kcck.org/culture, or using your favorite podcast player. I'm Dennis Green, and I'll talk to you later.